She's like my favorite kind of energy.
I'm gonna thumb. You think I should hit one for every thumb? Is that too many?
No, I think that's not necessary.
Not too many. Okay.
Yeah. Hey, so interesting topic
One
tonight.
big one. Boom, boom. Ooh, look at that. Look at that. Look at that. Oh, that's nice, right? That is a nice sound, huh?
So,
I'm
one
gonna,
thing I've
let
noticed.
me turn off the speaker. Okay, there we go. Sorry. Before you see. Okay,
I'm
welcome.
supposed to say something. That's like my intro line. Oh, there we go.
Turn off your speakers. Yeah, we should make that the intro, right?
Yeah, that would be. We just look like crazy homeless people banging the drum. It's getting warm and muggy and stuff like this.
Yes, it's getting miserable. I spent most of today sneezing because of some bizarre allergy that I don't.
No, that's not the reason. That's not the reason. It's because it's because everyone was talking about you.
Oh, I see. Right. Sure it was. Well, welcome, guys. Hey, I have to apologize. We're a little bit late today, but as usual, 2 weeks in a row now, Hiko's been having technical problems, which is strange because it's usually always the other way around.
Yeah. No, and I was kind of out of it last week as well. I've been working a lot lately, but that's a good thing.
Yeah, good work. Having work is good.
Yeah. But so yeah, and when people get a bit stressed or whatever, people do different things to relax. They do different things to take the edge off.
Especially if you're a singer or a wrestler,
Well, and so I mean, I guess do you want to lead off with the main topic today?
Let's just jump into it. So there is a famous Simon and Garfunkel type group in Japan. I call them Japan's Simon and Garfunkel.
Yeah.
And they're called Chage and Aska.
And by the way, Simon and Garfunkel, I mean, they're like, Japanese love them. Those guys did like crazy drugs, right?
That's true.
I mean, all of those guys from that time period and those songs and everything. And it's all good music, but geez. But yes, Chage and Aska.
Yes.
And, who now, cruelly, ironically, their biggest hit song was Say Yes.
Yes.
I think you should have said no. I think that was a problem. You just said
yes. Well, they're a little bit younger than Chage and Aska, but not that much. Let me see. They're born in 1958. Both of them born in 1958. So they're 57 years old. I think Simon Garfunkel just 10 years older than that, right?
Yeah.
And let's see. Well, they're still a team now, but just so you know, maybe you don't know. I'll ask Hiko. This is something he should not know. But do you know how to say? Well, actually, I don't even know what it means. Methamphetamines in Japanese.
Kakusei.
I thought that was speed.
No.
Is it the same?
Well, kakusei, meth is similar to speed, but and I don't know the word for speed actually, but kakusei is meth.
Do you know the slang shabu?
I've heard it before.
Yes, I think shabu is the same, but I could be wrong because I'm not a drug expert. I apologize.
Hey, you're from Peru, aren't you? Hey, Tony?
Yes, but I don't know what shabu is.
Yeah.
But anyway, there's something called shabu in Japan, and I think it's the same.
Yeah.
I could be wrong. So the newspapers now have been playing on the old name of Chage and Aska, and they're calling him Shabu and Aska.
Which is kind of harsh because as far as we know, Chage is the only one who's clean here at the moment.
Yes.
But yeah, I guess it helps the name. So I don't know, and there's been a couple of crystal meth big things. There was Noripi last year. There was that kind of famous actress.
Noripi last year.
That was kind of big. She's kind of hot as well.
Like 3 years ago, wasn't it?
Was that like 3 years? Well,
I did a video about that. Pretty sure it's a long time ago.
I didn't remember it. And I'm sure people say this a lot, but she was pretty hot before she got addicted to meth. It's not really good for.
Right before she was a crack warrior.
Yeah, but there are precedents of this as well, and it's kind of funny. Like you think of the Geinokai, of the talent, basically the
art world, the entertainment world. Yes.
Well, not it's basically a workers' union. It's like the United Auto Workers Union of people who make music and appear on TV, and that's why it's only ever the same people ever who show up on TV, or who are in dramas, all this stuff. And it's kind of funny. Honestly, you could like murder a prostitute and bloody join a yakuza gang and pay a bribe to a politician, and they would take you off the air for 3 months and then let you back on. But if they catch you with 5 grams of weed, they erase your name like you never existed, and you literally your entire existence ends. It's like and this is just an illustration. I mean, as we say over and over, of just how harshly treated drugs are. There's one thing which really stands out to me, and the whole time I've been in Japan. Do you remember the music group Dreams Come True?
Of course.
Yeah, I mean
they're still around.
They are still around, and they're one of the biggest and one of the most successful, and frankly one of the most talented. I mean, they write great music. Their tunes and everything are great. 3 people, right?
Hip hop music, yeah.
Hip hop.
J-pop.
Yeah.
Hip-hop.
Sorry, but yeah. So it used to be 3 people, 2 guys and the female vocalist, and now it's a guy and a female vocalist because the other guy was caught with a joint. And he was found with a single joint, and he was arrested, and it was huge news, and the police interrogated him for a week, and they asked him, why did you do it? Why did you do it? He said, because it helps me write music.
Really?
And he was put in jail, and he was literally, they erased him from the history of the band. I mean, the band kept going. They all had to apologize and not put out CDs for a while, and then they kept going, and if you started getting into J-pop now, you would never know that there used to be 3 members.
Right.
And this is the thing. I mean, you think of how many of these talento have been caught, going out to dinner with mobsters, or
oh yeah, that's a big.
Remember a member of SMAP hit a traffic warden with their car. I mean, who was it? It wasn't Nakai. It was one. Maybe it was Kusanagi. Kusanagi, remember, hit a traffic warden with his car.
And he ran away from the car.
Yeah, he did a hit and run. He
ran out of the car and just ran down the street, I think.
No, he hit it with a car. Maybe after. I don't remember the whole thing. I remember.
Ridiculous. I couldn't believe he tried to get away with it.
But he hit a police officer with his car and ran away, and still they gave him a 2-month vacation, and he was back on TV. But one joint to write a song, and this is from the country which loves the Beatles, the country which loves Simon and Garfunkel, and everything else.
I mean, McCartney. The fact that McCartney canceled his tour is a big deal here. So it's top news right now, and he was banned from Japan for so many years. I think how many years was it? 20 years or so?
I don't know actually, but they had to let him in.
He was caught coming to Japan at the airport, arrested for having drugs. They kept him I think 3 or 4 or 5 days. I don't remember the story, but they kicked him out. But he wasn't arrested. But it was a big deal. But they accepted.
And now he's had to cancel his. And now he's had to cancel his whole return tour because he's sick, probably from taking too much marijuana. Who knows? Who knows? No. I'm sure that's not.
Now I'm kind of annoyed by this whole thing because I'll be honest with you. I don't know how we haven't talked about this. Hiko and I have not. But personally, I'm a kind of libertarian when it comes to drugs. As in, I feel like you should theoretically be able to do whatever the hell you want with your body, no matter how self-destructive it is, because it's your body. I don't think the government has any rights to anything.
You want to meet my little friend? I'm going to start calling you Tony Montana.
We'll get to Tony Montana in a minute. But
I'm going to call you Tony Montana for the rest of this video.
I'm really shocked at how...
I'm a libertarian.
What a big deal this is in Japan. I mean, I think Japan has more problems to deal with than some singer who did drugs. I mean, they're surprised a singer did drugs. What's the big deal?
I really, really hope they release Breaking Bad here.
They have. It's on Hulu.
Is it on Hulu? Well, I've watched some of it on Hulu, but I'd like to see it on TV because it's so kind of just the idea of a school teacher that makes meth for 6 seasons on TV. It's kind of challenging, but so the thing is, when you look at both Timer and Kokusei, so when you look at both meth and marijuana, they both have really, really interesting and very long, socially accepted and legally permitted histories in Japan.
Who
until
made
recent
speed
history.
for the first time in history?
Sorry?
Which country made speed for the first time in history?
I don't know. Was it Japan?
Yes.
Right. Well, I mean, before the war, Japan was going crazy with making artificial drugs, and North Korea still does it today. I mean, they carry on the tradition which the Japanese started doing.
You're kidding. We should go there, dude. It's legal.
We'll never make it. And I'm pretty sure it's not actually legal there. They export it all to Japan. for hard currency.
Dude, you're making it. How can you arrest us?
That's right. Well, there again, I mean, if you're taking enough of a chance just going to North Korea, so why not just go all the way? Go there and do lots of. I think it'd be hard to be discreet about that, but the you know, I mean, in the US as well, I mean, until like 20 years ago, right, crystal, you know, well, methamphetamine was legal, and you know, military used to give it to their, you know, and military in Japan during World War II and American, they used to give it to their pilots to help them as a super form of speed.
Yeah.
People started realizing it wasn't actually very good, and it made their wives less good looking. But you know, there was the meth problem.
It made your wives better looking if you actually took it.
Well, I wouldn't know. But then you got the marijuana, you know, the timer thing, which timer again is like a really integral part of Japanese culture, actually. You know, like
oh, really?
the version of hemp in Japan, and apparently there's a really interesting article somewhere lately on the history of it in Japan, and how, like, you know how like in sumo, it's really wrapped up with religion apparently. Well, there's an indigenous form of hemp in Japan, and in Hokkaido it still grows wild. You can actually get people go on driving tours around Hokkaido and just stop by the road and pick it up and smoke it.
Really? I didn't know that.
It grows wild. And the type of hemp that's in Japan, apparently I was reading on this thing, although hemp, like what they grow in America, like hemp for clothes or whatever, has basically no THC. Apparently the hemp in Japan that was used for making the sumo ropes and stuff like that, or used in ceremonies, is actually 7 times stronger than the average THC rating of sold weed in America in the 1960s or 70s. So, like, you know, although they were using it,
I think apparently there's some really powerful stuff in Colorado now.
Yeah, I'm sure. Well, you know, and they've been engineering it that way. But in terms of you go back in time, at least the stuff in Japan, it wasn't necessarily. Although there's no. It's funny, I was reading this thing, and there wasn't necessarily an express history of them smoking or abusing it, but the idea that it was always used for making rope or clothes or whatever, and it was, you know, used in Shinto. If people went on a vacation, they would give them hemp leaves for good luck. Not sure what kind of luck hemp leaves might bring, but yeah, they
want to get arrested with the police, it will increase your luck dramatically.
Yeah. And even after World War II, it was interesting. The emperor himself, there were like there were these huge hemp farms, you know, plantations in Ibaraki and Tochigi, north of Tokyo, which were used for, you know, wartime production of rope and material. And apparently, like, and when GHQ came to Japan, apparently, well, the story goes, they wanted to close it all down and ban it like it was in America, and they thought this was a way that they could sell synthetic materials to Japan and stop Japan's own production of material.
Right. Yeah.
And the emperor went up and told all the weed farmers, all the marijuana farmers, "I'm going to protect you, man." And apparently, like, he did until about Japan finally started really enforcing the regulation on marijuana. It was like about 10 years after the end of the occupation. But it's recent history. Now they enforce it, and this is the whole thing. For something that was so normal,
but they enforced not really the law against marijuana, but the law against hemp.
Well, I mean, it's the same. So Taima is.
But the people were growing it not for smoking, but for making material, right?
Right. But this is the thing. When everyone kind of realized what they were growing. And the Americans put a lot of pressure on Japan over a long period of time, and eventually Japan did what they did with their, you know, a lot of other laws they imported. They just said, okay, no, we're just going to ban this. Yeah. And it was eventually, you know, not that long ago it was applied, but the end result of it now is, you know, like I say, you can literally, you know, get in a fight with the Yakuza naked in a whorehouse and be forgiven after 2 or 3 weeks, you know,
look
a
at
break from
Hiko.
TV.
He's still around.
Oh, hey. But one joint of weed, and they erase your existence from entertainment history, and that is what Japan is, and so that's just an illustration. I also know of cases. I have a friend who was she worked at a law firm, and she would advise people who would get pulled up at Narita, like basically for rich people or whatever. But, you know, like, so somebody's son got pulled up in Narita, coming through Narita with one joint in his pocket. Why in the hell do you try coming into Japan through the airport with a joint in your pocket? And you would say that the guy deserved everything that happened. But what apparently happened was she went out to meet him and brief him that he was about to be interrogated for the next week without any contact with the outside world or help, and he better prepare himself. And she said that the guy was like a surfy type guy and kind of tanned and kind of, you know, it's all just bullshit. It's fine.
Dude, it's just one joint.
They'll process me and send me home. And she said, well, just, prepare yourself and, tell me right now anyone you want me to contact, and did that. And she came back a week later when she was allowed to see him next, and he was just completely broken, like psychologically traumatized and broken. They don't let you sleep. They just interrogate you nonstop. You don't want to ever get into detention with the police here, especially not for that. And this is the thing. So whatever the merits of the thing are, man, it just they're pretty harsh on it here. In spite of all the, and there's no differentiation, is there, between
No, that's the thing that is true. Japanese do not understand that marijuana is considered a gateway drug at worst in America or other countries. It's as bad as heroin, and the general public feels the same, right? Have you spoken to your friends, Hiko, about this?
Yeah, well, yeah.
I think it's the same, right? They don't understand that there's a difference between heroin and cocaine and.
Generally speaking, people who do not partake in such things, and whom I would not know, all look at it all as the same. And for example, my wife has said, if we'd disown our son if we ever caught anything, caught him with a, I'm like, what, are you crazy? But it's that kind of a level, kind of like families disowning children if they ever found out he had a joint, kind of a thing. So please don't send your kids to Colorado if you're Japanese and you're watching this. But or to Canada.
Actually, what are the laws like in Canada? I know the Canadian people are pretty lax about it. Canada Jane 3, she's in the
Canada
audience right now. The audience, that's so funny.
Practically waving the hemp flag with a name like that.
But anyone who's Canadian, what are the laws like there? Do you go to jail? What's up? Does anyone know? Leave a comment. But yeah, they don't understand the difference between things like that.
They definitely don't differentiate. There's no idea of a, but at the same time, and this is again, and so in New Zealand, so there's always a thing, I smoke weed, dude, because like it's not as addictive as like to cigarettes, which are really worse, or alcohol makes people fight, and that's really worse. You try to have that kind of a discussion with a Japanese person about how things are regulated and how illegal drugs here are in some ways worse, and they look at you like you're insane.
Yes.
Like it's legal and it's not legal.
I minored in psychology, and I had to take a class on drugs. And one of the things we learned was that usually when it comes to crime, most of the time alcohol is involved. This is the problem. Okay, and you can tell from my videos, I'm much more prone to violence than the druggie. Yeah, but at the same time, I see other people who are proponents of drug use, or especially marijuana use. They're screaming, "Oh, Japanese are fascists!"
Well, and there was another one, wasn't there? There was the I think Aska. Sorry, when they searched his house, they found MDMA.
MDMA, which is ecstasy.
That is correct. Oh,
But I don't know what it stands for. What does MDMA?
He knows too much. Too much.
Oh, everybody knows that.
Yeah. Which, apparently until like 10 years ago or 15 years ago now was a marriage counseling drug?
More like 30 years ago.
Was it 30 years ago? Oh, man.
Well, when I left the States, it was already illegal. So that's 23 years ago.
30 years ago must have just been crazy fun.
Yeah. But, it stands for, what the hell does that? Oh, methylenedioxymethylamphetamine. Oh, so it's amphetamine. Yeah.
Marriage counselors used to give it to couples.
I think it would save a lot of marriages, basically.
Well, I don't know.
Well, let me read some of the comments, Hiko. I'm pretty surprised. Yeah. Check this out. From Canada Jane 3, I knew people who did drugs in Japan. I hate drugs and anyone who does them. That is pretty harsh. Yeah. From a fun-loving Canadian, I'm surprised. And another question.
So not buying any Chage and Aska CDs soon, then I presume?
Oh, here's something that's so amazingly stupid. So they just put out a new CD, right? Yeah,
Say No. They're calling it Say No in their new CD. Just Say No.
And they're circulating the demo. The demo has been circulated in a few clubs, right? Yeah. They're playing it, and now, of course, they put the kibosh. Is that the expression? They put the kibosh down on the CD. Yeah. So they're not going to release the CD, and that's a weird thing about Japan, is that they don't take advantage of it. Like in the States, they'd be like promoting this shit. Like, okay, now it's in the media, we're getting free publicity. Let's just sell the shit out.
The forbidden CD that you must not buy or listen to in shops.
Well, now they're selling that same CD online on auction. Yahoo auction for 50,000 yen.
Yeah.
Because of this, right? But the actual company will make no money off it because they have refused. They've decided to ban the guy.
It's ironic.
They're not going to get any money. He's screwed.
each one of those CDs is probably worth more than the drugs that he took that got him banned.
Almost. I think someone was telling me in the comments it's 70,000 yen for drugs here. I don't know. The type of drug.
That's pretty expensive.
Yeah, it's expensive.
So the CDs are still good money here, so long as you don't puff the magic dragon or whatever. Yes. So I don't know. Well, so on one level, I don't know. But so do you feel sorry for the guy? Here's a question: do you feel sorry for the guy?
I feel sorry for the guy. Yeah.
Why do you feel sorry for the guy? I mean, the guy knew the rules. The guy's Japanese. The guy adamantly maintained that he didn't do it. So he's obviously lying. It seems. So
well, I feel sorry for the guy only because like I said, I don't think any government body or anybody, it should be no laws about anything you do with your own body. That's all. But at the same time, he's an idiot because he knew the law. I mean, if anyone knew the law, it was him. And he broke them anyway.
Yeah.
So in that respect, no, I don't feel.
Well, it's kind of buyer beware, right? You know, you know that's what's gonna, that's the risk that you're taking. I mean, that's not a risk that he was blind to. But so I don't know. But there again, I mean, does the punishment fit the crime? Well, it doesn't really, but it's not really.
Well, his career is ruined.
Well, no, it's not. Well, this is the difference. You know, your career. Yeah, when you say ruined, completely ruined. Like it'll be like it never happened. He'll literally be like disappeared from this. And he's one of the biggest. It's literally like you know, erasing Garfunkel from all the Simon and Garfunkel albums.
Yeah, that's what it would be like.
But that's literally
what Garfunkel has almost been erased already.
Well, that is pretty much true. Simon did do a lot better, didn't he?
Let's get another pair. What's another pair of people who actually need each other? Who would it be like? I don't even know.
Ernie and Bert.
Yeah. Okay, that's better. That's better. Like Bert never existed.
Yeah, Ernie would get pretty annoying after a while. I think we'd all become Berts if there wasn't Bert being Bert there for us, wouldn't there?
Yeah, but well, what do you think? What do you think about it? I'm pretty disappointed in the Japanese media. I think Japan has a lot of other problems that should be focused on. I think this is just a distraction. It's
there's the cat-loving computer virus spreader who buried his mobile phone and then announced he was a psychopath and confessed when his lawyer was still saying, "We're just about to win this thing." Did you hear about all that?
No, I don't know what you're talking about.
The cat. You know how there was there's a guy who sent death threats over the internet, like by emails, and they arrested like 4 different people for it, and they were all the wrong arrests, and they got like the people they arrested got like fired from their jobs and banned from university, even though the police apologized for it.
I didn't hear anything about this. What's the scandal? What's it about?
Well, this is like a couple of years old now, but they finally got a guy who they're pretty sure it was because they found. I can't remember the exact story, but they found the mobile phone or something, or the guy attached like pictures of a cat, and they found some police, you know, great Japanese police work. They actually found the cat in the photos that was being sent with these death threats.
Oh, really?
To like TV. I think he threatened to like bomb TV.
He found a cat. How do you identify a cat? That's amazing.
And it was a stray cat, but they
kidding me.
But they not stalked, what do you call it? They staked out the cat, and they found this guy feeding it. And because this guy worked for an internet company and he had internet skills, they thought he must be the hacker who was making the death threats or something. And so they arrested him, and this guy just steadfastly for like 2 years maintained that this was another false arrest and he's another victim of police who don't understand technology and whatever.
Right.
And his mother spent $100,000 to bail him out of jail. So
wow.
During his trial, and apparently the police were thoughtful enough to still have someone tail him while he was out on bail. And apparently the day before one of his hearings, he went up to one of the rivers that run around Tokyo, the Arakawa River, and he kind of went under a highway bridge, and the police observed him going into the reeds in the long grass and digging a hole and putting something in the hole and then going away and running or scurrying away from it. And when they went down and checked what it was, he had buried a mobile phone with a timer set to send an email during his court hearing the next day saying, "I'm the real guy who did it. It wasn't him."
Oh, wow, smart.
So they kind of caught him red-handed. And
he didn't have it buried. He could have just left it somewhere in a library or something.
Yeah.
No one would have ever found it.
Oh, and the thing is, well, if they were tailing the guy literally like in the middle of like underneath the highway bridge, you know, how could you not be spotted following a guy in a place like that where there are no other people? Like there must have been one other guy constantly following you, like 400 yards away. But and even when they basically caught him red-handed, and they announced that, and when they announced that, the guy didn't show up to a scheduled press conference with his lawyer. his lawyer, they asked his lawyer, so you know, are you going to give up defending him now? And they got the most positive, you know, they're the most positive-minded lawyer you could ever hope to find as a defense lawyer. He was saying, you know, no, the police, I'll bet it was the real guy who did it, who buried it there after him, and it wasn't him. He's like, come on in, come to the press conference.
He's optimistic.
We're going to win. We're still going to win. That's why they're doing this, because they're scared. What's that?
Manju.
Manju. That's a pretty munted-looking manju.
I forgot the name of this manju. I knew the name 5 minutes ago, and I just forgot.
It's Tony.
Quite a famous type of what?
It's Tony. The manju's name is Tony.
Tony Montana.
Yeah.
That's the biggest story. I don't know. You know, I have no recollection of that story at all.
No, well, it's been big news the last couple of days. I actually.
No, I mean the buried telephone.
Yeah, no, that's what I mean. That's been really big news the last couple of days. Yeah, like the last 2 or 3 days.
Right.
But yeah, so.
Rachel and June are here. Hey, Rachel and June.
Hey, Rachel and June. But I don't know. So, what do people think? I mean, well, I guess there's two things. I mean, one. I mean, in the end of the day, it's up to Japan to decide its own laws. Oh, the other thing, which has been a really interesting topic lately, the press has been coming up a lot, not only with Drake stories, but with Dappo herb. Have you heard of this?
No.
Dappo herb are literally like herbs designed to evade the law.
Oh, right. No, yeah, they have a lot of those here.
Yeah, which basically, I believe the correct translation is legal. You know, I mean, it's like, so what? I mean, technically, a Dappo herb would be like oregano, right? Because it's not illegal and it's a herb. No. So, I mean, granted, okay, they mix it with cough syrup.
I never uploaded it, just because I'm so busy, but...
Yeah.
But here in, I'm sure in Tokyo, too, there are places that specialize in artificial, and what's it called? Not the word's not artificial. What's the word? Some kind of marijuana. It's basically marijuana, but it's slightly, technically, chemically altered, so it doesn't fit the.
There's hemp-based products like in Tokyo. I mean, when I went to the Fuji Rock Festival, they sell like hemp beer. You know, legal, like, grown on registered farms in Niigata hemp beer. It's quite nice, actually.
Really?
Yeah. And
it's Fuji Rock.
Yeah, I went to Fuji Rock every year for the first 6 years in Japan.
We must have passed each other. I've been there 3 times.
All right. Yeah.
How old is Fuji Rock now?
It's been on forever, but yeah, no, I've been there like from 1999 to about 2000.
When did you see Fuji Rock?
Sorry? Yeah, so I just said 1999.
What bands? I don't remember the years.
Oh, man.
You see Coldplay?
Maybe. No, I didn't. Well, maybe they were playing somewhere else. I like to go to the other stages, but yeah. I don't know. What years were you there? What years were you there?
I don't know. Oh, 2000. Last time must have been 2004.
That's around the last time I went too. Yeah.
Beach Boys. How about Beach Boys?
No.
No.
No, I saw. I mean, I saw Bjork. I saw. I don't know. And the other thing as well, I tend to go like to the reggae stages.
You were high. You don't remember.
I was pretty much. I was always at the dance music and the Japanese bands and the ska stages and the reggae and stuff like that. But yeah.
Were you there with Love Psychedelic? Japanese band?
Yeah. I discovered Supercar there, and they were awesome. And they kind of broke up, but I'm still very sad about it. But they're one of the really, really best. They were indies, and they had a really big break. But then the band broke up just when they were making really awesome music. But there's a few bands like that I discovered while I was there. But yeah.
Do you remember there used to be a really famous young boy band from Scotland? Do you remember them?
A boy band from Scotland?
Well, they're not a boy band, but they're young men, good-looking guys from Scotland.
Do I remember the young, good-looking men from Scotland?
I was never into them, but we met them there.
You weren't into the good-looking men from Scotland?
No, because, well, you don't remember this, but I used to be a band manager, and I took my band to Fuji Rock. Oh. And we actually got into Fuji Rock, but we were very minor. We got in, like, we were like allowed in.
Yeah.
We won some contests and we got in. Well, not we, them, but me representing them.
Right.
And we got into Fuji Rock I think it was 2 years or 3 years? 2 years in a row.
Wow, what stage were you on?
Some minor, all off on the side stage.
No, but those
we were on the Sony. Sony has a special booth where they interview bands, and we were invited there. We were in the green room with this super famous Scottish band, but I can't remember their name, but I'm sure our viewers know if you name them.
Scottish, and I'm at risk if I open my mouth and say Arctic monkeys or something. That of course
It wasn't Arctic, but I think Arctic monkeys was there one year too that we were there.
Yeah, that's pretty cool though.
I don't remember. No big deal. But
yeah.
Anyway, I don't remember there being many drugs there, but they must have been. Do you remember?
Well, okay. So I was a club DJ, and I had friends from Australia and South Africa that come and they wanted the Proclaimers. Someone says it was the Proclaimers.
Yeah. No, it wasn't the Proclaimers. Those are the twins, right?
Yeah.
No, it wasn't the Proclaimers. those are really old. 1980s, man.
That's the only Scottish boy band I know.
That's funny.
Yeah. That was,
I would walk 1,000 miles.
500 miles. 1,000. They never tried that hard.
Really? Only 500 miles? What's the point?
500. They weren't even trying. I think technically, if you walk 1,000 miles any direction from Scotland, you end up in the ocean.
Oh. That makes sense.
But yeah. What was I
really? It was only 500 miles? That seems like such an arbitrary number.
It's actually the title of the song is actually I'm going to be 500 miles. It's actually 500 miles is the title of the song. So it's like like when your dad sings a song that you really like, but he gets all the lyrics wrong and it's really annoying. That's kind of what you're doing right now to me.
All right, son. Sorry about that.
That's okay. That's okay. You got a bald son. You've got enough to worry about.
So I'm sorry, you were just about to say about drug acquisition, or?
Oh man!
You said you were a DJ and Aussies.
Yes. So yeah, I remember going. So my friends and I love going out clubbing, and I would DJ. I played in some big venues in Tokyo and stuff, and I'd take friends out. I remember an Aussie friend asked me, "So, what percentage of people in this club do you think are currently high on drugs?" And it was kind of a strange question to me. And I gave what I thought would be a big number, maybe 10%. I don't know.
Really?
And that's a high number, right? I mean, that's kind of.
I would say like 2% at most.
Yeah, I said 10%, just thinking, show some kind of street cred. And the guy was like, "Really?" Oh, yeah. Well, I don't know, maybe. And the guy was like, "Okay, if this was Australia, 100%."
Really?
He was kind of shocked. I was showing these people, when you show, but you know what? This is what I like about Japan. You go to Australia or you go to these other places. You go to rock festivals or you go to like big clubs, and somebody who can't take their alcohol or someone who can't take their drugs or whatever they're ingesting, and they get into fights or they do weird stuff, and they act all weird. In Japan, people just drink a little bit of alcohol, they're a little bit happy. It's all great. And Fuji Rock Festival is a great example.
No fights at all. It was wonderful.
0. 3 days up in the mountains, drinking beer, listening to music. Hundreds of thousands, literally more than 100,000 people go every year. Yeah. And nothing but good vibes. Nothing but nice, happy people.
Everyone's friendly, everyone's smiling.
And no, and well, I wouldn't say no drugs. I'm sure there are drugs there, but one, it's extremely limited, and two, the antisocial behavior is 0. When you if you were to go to a similar event in America or England or Australia, you would expect there to be people getting arrested. You would expect there to be
about issues. 2 years ago, for some reason, I got into a 3-day looking for fights in British discos. There was like this thing when I kept getting linked to fights. I found one by accident. You know how YouTube keeps recommending them, right?
Yeah.
A drunk girl fights at a trash girl at a London disco, like punching out of just ridiculous stuff. But you never see stuff like that in Japan, at least very rarely.
And even when they get drunk, they just don't act like that. You know what I mean? It's just the thing I like about being here. So yeah. So yeah, it's I don't know. It's one. And so it's actually. So this is part of the reason I really like the club culture here. I mean, when you're at a concert, a really good concert, and you're listening to really good music, and you're looking around at everyone around you, and everyone's just smiling, and maybe you get that in New Zealand, but it would be because everyone is high. But here they're genuinely actually just enjoying it, and the guy next to you's got his kid on his shoulders, and everyone's just it's cool. And you can, of course, you get the same thing overseas as well. But it's just kind of nice how kind of innocent Japanese are in a way, just because these drug laws and everything are so harsh. But I don't know. Well, I mean, if you need them to have a good time, there's something. And I basically agree with you as well. I'm kind of libertarian, and I think maybe, I think let people do what they want to do, provided they're not doing any harm to anyone else. That's
basically black people.
No, I did not.
What kind of people?
I said just let people do what they want to do.
People.
Let people. Let people.
Oh, let people.
It could have been black, like with the South
I
African
said
accent.
black people.
Yes. No,
Let black people do what they want. They want to do drugs.
Yes, that's right. It's the new South Africa. In the new South Africa, the black people, they do whatever they want. Just let them run the show.
I think we should let black people do what they want too, and white people too, all kinds of people.
Amen.
No, yeah. Well, I mean, but the thing is, when you come over here, I saw. Let me mention this. Some guy. I'm not going to mention my name because he's insane. But I saw videos.
Sounds perfectly fine to mention his name.
Oh no, he's insane. In fact, he's made videos against Rachel and June and myself.
Oh,
for some weird reason, he took the videos against me down. I don't know why, but he's this crazy guy.
Well, then he's insane. I was going to say, okay, against Rachel June, insane. Against you, well, maybe. But then he only took down the videos. Okay, insane.
Yeah, he's insane. Yeah, it doesn't make any sense at all. But he made a video the other day called "Fuck the Japanese Police," talking about the wrestler that we're going to talk about in a second.
Oh yeah, the Enson Inoue thing. That was hilarious.
That's actually thanks to this insane person I found that video. But he's going on about.
Thank you.
It's fascist. The Japanese people are fascist because marijuana opens up your frontal cerebral cortex and lets you see the truth, see reality. Because without marijuana, you can't see reality. So when I see people like that, I'm like, well, they should really ban. This guy needs to have all his marijuana taken away.
You lose your privileges, son.
Yeah, when you start fighting for the right to smoke marijuana that way. I mean, I from a philosophical point of view, I think everyone should have the right to do whatever they want to their body, no matter how stupid it is.
You just reminded me as well. Wasn't it hilarious? They had the referendum in California on legalizing weed, and shock horror, when you're running a referendum that relies on stoners getting up and going out and doing something on time, it fails.
Well, I'm surprised that in Japan, in California, only medical marijuana is legal, right?
I know, but they had a referendum. Like Arnold Schwarzenegger brought a referendum to fully legalize it, and all the stoners couldn't get out of bed and vote, and all the religious groups voted against it, and it got voted down. California voted against legalizing it.
That's amazing.
But this is the thing. This is why you can't depend on stoners as a constituency.
Could you imagine if the stoners were just a little more like they all drank coffee on the right day? They would vote in the stoner president. Woody Harrelson, maybe. Yay!
But Obama, do you remember when Obama actually gave that speech? And he said, and he said it's time to rethink the whole thing and to legalize and
he said it's no worse than alcohol, which I would disagree with. I don't know.
Well, and by the way, I did like so you know how through different presidents, like Clinton said that yes, he took marijuana but he didn't inhale properly, and then apparently Obama's response to the same question was, well, I thought inhaling was the point. But he didn't answer the question, which is smart. Yeah, but
directly answer the question.
But when they featured that story in Japanese and it got picked up on the Nichan things, and they had all the commenters, and all the Japanese commenters hearing the American president, the guy, and remember, so this is a guy basically announcing that he's Tony Montana to the world, and in Japan they know he's the guy with the nuclear codes, right? Mm-hmm. And they thought literally, oh my God, this guy is insane. This guy, what the hell? This guy is a drug addict. And they can't, and that was the uniform reaction of shock to that.
Yeah,
which was interesting.
The Japanese basically think that, and anyone who coming to Japan, I would recommend this. I don't know about New Zealand, but in America, it's like 90% of the people have tried marijuana.
New Zealand's probably a similar thing, yeah.
I would recommend you not ever admit you have ever tried marijuana, ever. Except to very, very good friends or people you're about to get married. Get married to.
Well, here's the thing.
They won't get it.
Yeah, never start the conversation unless invited to, and you're sure it's okay. Like, no, that just doesn't go well on people who won't get it. I mean, you're pretty much confessing to murder.
Yeah.
And that's the culture, and this is the thing. You just got to come here and understand that it's just different. They just look at it differently, and even if you can explain all the logical reasons why it doesn't make sense as a rule, they don't care. It's a rule-oriented society. They don't think about the reasons for the rule. They don't think about arguing the policy. It's killing a person. Is pretty much how they treat having a joint.
Yeah.
Which culturally anyway. And obviously, it's not to say that there aren't Japanese who think otherwise, including this Enson Inoue guy and
yeah.
his
So
story
let's talk
about
about him real
caught
quick.
was
I don't know
hilarious.
much about him. Do you know much about this guy?
I don't actually, but
No.
is he a UFC fighter or a wrestler or something?
Something like that. He's some kind of wrestler, fighter, whatever guy.
Yeah.
And I found him because of this bizarre guy who makes hate videos against Rachel and June and myself.
Thank you.
Yeah, and I saw something came up on the right. You know how when you watch one video, suddenly the guy's videos keep popping up on the right.
Yeah.
So it said "fuck the Japanese police," and I went over there and watched that. And basically, it doesn't make any. He's not logical at all. He says, cannabis is great. It opens up your frontal cortex and helps you understand the truth. And Japan is such a fascist country, and the Japanese society is evil. Japanese people are evil, and you should never go there. It's just like when you and I like it because
that sounds like he's getting into the paranoid phase.
well, that's good though, because when people like that start saying things like that, then it's pretty hard to take anything they say seriously at all. So you don't have to worry about that guy picking up any traction with speeches like that. But he did point me to the video, so I went and found the video.
One of them became president, but yeah.
He's like, and the links are in the description, which they were not because he was probably too stoned to figure it out.
Yeah, he's gonna get around to it. He's just gonna have a lie down first and have a peanut butter sandwich.
It's only 3 days old, right? So I went and found the video, and yeah, apparently there's this guy named Inoue Edson. I sent the video? It's in the description, actually. I already added.
I was watching the video, and I must admit, for the guy very candidly saying exactly what happened to him.
Yeah,
eye-opening. I mean, he pretty much was open about it. I love the bit where he was saying, like, so first they arrested him, and then they go and search his gym and his home, and if they find anything else, then you're screwed. Then you can look at the full sentence. And they came back and they said they found nothing, and I was like, really?
Like, he said I was baffled.
I was baffled.
I was baffled that they found nothing.
I mean, yeah, you had to chuckle. He was a funny guy. He told the story well. Although what he was telling was something which is unforgivable in most circles of Japanese society, but he told it well.
His deal was he went to Japanese jail. I couldn't figure out how long, but he was on probation for 3 years. It seems like the worst it would have been was 5 years, and they found less than an ounce, 16 grams.
I don't know.
Anyway,
a whole bunch of joints or something though in his car, right?
But they didn't find much. But they found some, and he said he was so stoned he couldn't he didn't do well when he was arrested. Yeah. And anyway, long story short, he's been here in Japan for 20 years, and they said we're going to kick you out of the country after his jail sentence. Yeah. So he got 9,000 people to sign a petition, asking that the immigration rethink their position, and actually he ended up winning. He ended up getting to stay. How much connections really they do matter in Japan. If you know people, you can get away. Just like in the States,
Yeah.
We end up being able to stay.
Well, he was pretty lucky there. And you know what else? So I'm remembering now, a lot of the sumo scandals, where they started drug testing.
Oh, that's right. There was some sumo guy who got arrested a couple years ago with marijuana.
Was it Wakanoho? Was a Russian guy got caught?
Or the Russian guy, yeah.
Yeah, and then he started saying, well, everyone else is fixing matches, in his press conference for that. And apparently, and the interesting thing about that, what came out later was when they found the foreign wrestler had tested positive for the weed test, they immediately announced who it was on the first round, not on the backup test or anything like that, and they kicked him out. But apparently there were 3 other Japanese wrestlers who also tested positive that they didn't announce. So they were really looking to get rid of him. But yes, again, once that came out, I mean, again, he was finished. There was no coming back from that.
Yeah, he disappeared. We know he never. You don't get a second chance when it comes to marijuana and things like that.
Mm.
Have you ever heard of any? What about Noripi? Did she come back?
Noripi, yeah, I think she. Well, you know what? I think she might be.
Back.
I think her name came up. Pete West just made a great comment, which actually I was going to mention before. You talk about these double herb, these drugs which are not on the list of classified, regulated drugs. And one thing which was not regulated till after I came to Japan, like 2005, was mushrooms.
Yes.
Yeah, and in Shibuya, in the Love Hotel district and stuff, there were shops like with just.
They would sell them on the street. Yeah.
Magic mushroom shops.
In Nagoya too, they used to sell them.
Although to tell the truth, that's something which I've never even had an interest in. The idea of hallucinogenic, mushroom things. I don't know. That just doesn't appeal to me.
Okay, when my twin brother took that once at a beach in Florida, and he had a bad stomach ache.
I mean,
but he had a pretty good time otherwise, except for the stomach ache.
But they're poisonous, neurotoxic. I mean, these are not things that we're. I mean, you know,
you're not supposed to eat.
A lot of people love them, and if it's legal and it's all good, then power to you. But that's one thing I've always thought doesn't even. I don't even get the appeal, frankly. But there you go. Well, it's illegal now, so it's moot now.
I wonder where the pressure to make something illegal comes from, though.
Well, I think part of it's international standards, and I know that when you know, like the Interpol or whatever, when they see that Japan's list of drugs isn't compatible, or they're not regulating enough drugs, they get it. I think they get some diplomatic pressure to regulate it, but I don't know. I mean, honestly, you know, but the thing is, once it gets on the list and once they declare, okay, that's illegal, dirty, banned, that's it. You know, there's no class A, class B, class C, class D, or whatever. Like in UK, they classify by levels and stuff. It's everything's cocaine.
Yeah, everything's bad.
Yeah. And this is the thing. So you know, if you want to have a great, you know, drug habit lifestyle, there are places in the world you can go to and enjoy that. But Japan is just not one of them, and don't go there. I mean, you know, and especially as well, if you plan on living here, that shit will get you deported. I mean, that's just, you know, you go to jail, you have a miserable detention, jail, and deportation.
Yeah.
None of which is fun, and whether you agree with the laws or not.
The only good thing about that, I would say, is that you won't get raped in jail. That's the only thing I can.
My wife actually frequently mentions that as one of the great things about Japan as a guy.
I'm raped in jail.
She said, at least, yeah. Well, where did that conversation come up lately? There's something come up which, yeah.
Unless you're black, I hear.
So there's a problem, you know, with all the growing number of elderly and who didn't have kids and so on, and they've got and they're kind of destitute old people. And there's actually a growing problem in society that they deliberately like shoplift and get themselves caught.
Yes, we talked about this in a previous 2.5 oYajis. An old guy got shoplifted on. He shoplifted on purpose because he wanted to go back to jail.
And they did, you know, these are destitute people. They get 3 square meals, you know, a futon, a roof over their heads, and friends. And apparently, and I was reading something the other day saying that some jails now are so overcrowded with old people that, in addition to wardens, they're actually now hiring like nursing home nurses to help look after like some of the incontinent ones and stuff like that. So this is the thing now. I mean, it's getting, and this is just the start of the tidal wave, right? Of all the old people, you know, growing in society now. You know, pretty soon we're going to have all these old people criminals trying to get into jail for the free elderly care.
The only bad thing about Japanese jail, from what I've heard, of course I don't know firsthand, is that you're not allowed to speak.
Yeah, and they force you to say that.
It drives you crazy.
Yeah, you're not allowed. The other thing I've heard is that, you know, you have to spend long periods of the day Caesar, like, you know, sitting on top of your legs in the middle of your cell and not moving and not talking, and that does make people go crazy apparently sometimes. And when you hear about foreigners talking about, I survived the Japanese jail, they talk about that, like, yeah, you won't get raped, and that's nice. But
it's nice not to be Christian.
There's definitely upsides to it. There's upsides to it, but no, you know. I guess if that's been your routine for most of your life anyway, it's a nice retirement option.
Remember the Sea Shepherd guy who got arrested? Brought Pete. What was his name? Pete Bogdan or something. I don't remember his name. You remember that guy?
Yeah, New Zealand guy. Yeah.
Yeah, he made a video. It's on YouTube. It doesn't have many views. Only 14,000. Which I would think if I went to jail, I'd get at least 50,000 views.
Well, you'd probably do something that would get the attention to go to jail. But yes.
But he complained about the Japanese jail, and he said 100 people escorted him, because he's a foreigner, escorted him from the courthouse to wherever he was being held, to the jailhouse. So when he walked into the jail, everyone thought he was just a really badass guy, because there's 100 cops surrounding him, which I think is a cool way to go in.
No one will mess with you, yeah.
No one messes with you. But he said in Japan, no one's allowed to talk to each other.
Yeah.
And that's what drove him crazy. And in the end, he just started talking to himself because he was getting so... He was so lonely to talk to anybody. I guess that's the worst of jail in Japan. I don't know.
And a reminder as well. I mean, Japan does come up on Amnesty International reports.
Yes.
A lot with regards to its justice system. You know, the immigration system.
Well, I think that's mostly the death penalty here.
The death penalty is the big flagship one, but the whole aspects of the justice system, from the death penalty to the you know,
the 100% conviction rate.
To the 100% conviction rate, to the And you know, they make prisons do like free labor and stuff like that, which is technically prison labor, you know, like free prison labor. Although I think they do that in America as well. But there's things that come up that they classify as human rights violations, and a lot of them. You know, the detention period in Japan is like something like a week, where most countries it's like
no, it's more like 28 days here.
Is it that? But they can also renew it.
It's really, really long. Like you can keep someone without charging them for a long time here.
But that's just it. I mean, first they'll first they'll charge you with jaywalking and hold you for 28 days and interrogate you, and then when the period runs out,
you confess for drugs.
Then then they'll arrest you for having a pocket knife in your house, and you know they'll get to the murder conviction on the 28th charge, and they'll just keep extending the detention, and you know basically because they don't want to actually go. There's no CSI in Japan. This is the thing. They don't come and hold UV lights over this. They just grab the first guy they see and they hold them until he confesses, pretty much. Mm-hmm. And and that's why you just don't want to be that guy. You don't want to get grabbed for any reason. Least of all something stupid like a recreational drug. Mm-hmm. But so these Gainlogene guys. I mean, I guess it's an illustration just of what the culture is. And if you ask me,
when he goes as Gainlogene, he's talking about the people, the entertainers, basically.
The talento, the untalented, talented people. I don't know. So yes.
I don't hear that much about. Yeah, I think. Maybe I like to see there's somebody on the other side explaining to the Japanese what it's like, what drugs are like. But there doesn't seem to be. It seems like everyone just drugs are bad. That's it.
Yeah. Okay. Drugs are bad. Okay.
Drugs are bad. Okay.
By the way, Jason's Allsumo channel, Jake, I've been in touch with him. Hopefully we can get him next week. He's busy, and I was busy as well, but we're going to try to get him next week. One other, I was going to come back on the police thing as well. You know, you see the news last week. For the first time, they're going to make it mandatory to videotape confessions.
Oh, really?
Because apparently just so much stuff happens, to coerce people into giving confessions. Mm-hmm. There are so many cases.
Japan is infamous for that.
Including that guy who, the guy who was on death row for like 50 years, mm-hmm. Who gave a fake confession, which he later recanted, and he said all along, like they were beating and threatening me, and doing all the stuff, and I gave a fake confession because I thought it would never stand up because it wasn't true, and I was being coerced into it. And when he tried to recant, and actually, your chances of getting the death penalty are. People confess because they're told if they confess, they'll get a life sentence and not the death penalty. And if you actually are innocent, or if you maintain that you're innocent when you're not, but either way, if you say that you're innocent and they go all the way to the end,
find you guilty,
you get the death penalty.
Yeah.
So this is the thing. Even if you didn't do it, if it's a choice between life and death, you say that you did it in order to get a life sentence and not be killed. It's just, yeah.
A real samurai would never admit to it.
Sorry? You never admit to it?
A real samurai would never admit to actually committing a crime he didn't commit. But I'm just joking because there's no such thing. I understand that you're under a lot of stress. You've been interrogated for 8 hours with very little water, no bathroom breaks. Yeah, you can do whatever you want.
But this guy, he said 8 hours a day. I'm pretty sure he probably got special treatment. I've heard stories that they can interrogate up to 20 hours, and then with food,
I've heard longer. It didn't seem so bad when he was talking about. We were talking about the Inoue guy, and there are links in the description to all this. You can go watch those videos yourself.
I mean, again, it illustrates one how harsh the penalties are and how harsh the police treatment is. Don't expect your kind of OECD. I know my rights stuff doesn't really apply here.
Yeah, and you're not going to get a lawyer. I guess there's no lawyer rule, right? I don't hear about people asking for the lawyers in Japan.
No, the police will laugh it off. I think you get a first consultation, but then you belong to the police for the next, throughout your detention. So the point being, it highlights all the risks, and at the same time, it's it's an entertainingly told story. Definitely not a role model for anyone, but yeah.
Michael Gillen Peckett says he has friends with disabilities who are arrested for using illegal drugs.
Well, yeah, I mean, people with glaucoma, right? They actually prescribe medical marijuana for glaucoma,
I think but in Japan, I think people just maybe police saw someone who was disabled and assumed he was walking that way because he was drunk or high or something.
Oh yeah.
Maybe that was it. That's pretty ridiculous.
Yeah.
If that's the case, but
I do have to go now.
Yes.
I'm out of time, but Well, it's kind of fun. We managed to keep that going for an hour. Who needs Jake Adelstein?
That was effortless. But next week, hopefully, we'll have Jake on Hiko Simon's channel. Finally.
Also, we will. One guy I want to get on. I just mentioned I've been in touch, and hopefully we'll get him on. Is Dave Powell, Shoot Tokyo, who's a really talented street photographer. I've been following for a long time, and he's putting together a Kickstarter to put together a book, and it's really cool. And I want to get the guy on. He's another guy you guys aren't used to seeing. Does he
already have a Kickstarter, or is that Dan Ryan I'm thinking about?
Not Dan Ryan, Dave Powell.
Maybe I've already. I think he already raised like $20,000.
I think I saw that. I think he had, but
he wanted 5,000. That's amazing. He's done a great job.
But this is an illustration just how
this guy is. It's Dave Powell, not Dan Powell. Dave Powell.
I said Dave Powell. I said Dave Powell.
Oh, I was thinking.
You said Dan Ryan.
Dave Powell has already raised $20,000.
Yeah, but which is a reflection of how good what he does is, and and I'd love to talk with him about it, like how you do street photography, how you spontaneously photograph people in Japan, and it was interesting watching the video of him working and how he approaches people
that was a good video.
And gets their permission.
$24,000 now. Just 2 days ago, it's $19,000.
But this is what I love about Kickstarter. It's not e-begging. It's not just here's a PayPal and send me money. It's like, okay, if you donate this much, I'm going to give you this. You're going to get a pre-order of the book and a T-shirt signed by me, and and if you donate like $1,000 on that list, I'll give you a personally guided tour of Tokyo and photo training, and that's all. It's all really cool. I mean, I really like how these things work. It's been the same with the mountain, the video that BLK UNK and Tokyo Zen are making, and Koi, the project of Dan Scusser, which is the video game project, which I talked about a while ago. Which I mean, it's really cool. I love how those things work. But I'd love to get him on and talk about that anyway. So that's another thing on the horizon. But Jake Adelstein first.
That's David Powell. One more time. We'll link this I'll link this in the description anyway, just in case there are 9 days left on his Kickstarter. So check him out. He's got a lot of power behind him. A lot of momentum there.
Yeah. So anyway, I got to run. So good show. Thank you all for joining us.
See you guys next week. Hiko Simon channel. Thanks for watching, everyone.
Yes. Peace to you all.
Cool. Good night, everyone.
Peace, man. Groovy.